Welcome to episode 89 of the Second Unit Podcast and episode 1, Jake, of our new video podcast.
Yeah, let's go.
We are
Exciting.
going to, it is exciting. We have entered the realm of video podcasting finally. Um, we are going to go forward, try to do more video podcasts and stuff like that. We have some fun announcements at the end. But it's just me and Jake solo today. Alex will be back next week. He's in Coach Alex mode, basketball coach mode right now. So he's a little preoccupied right now. Have the White Sox hat going to show a little representation for him because after we talk about some things today, I don't know if he's going to love it too much based on some stuff that we have in store here. Today we're going to talk college football playoff, Notre Dame versus Penn State tonight. That kicks off in about 2 hours. We're going to talk Texas, Ohio State, and then we're going to talk the NFL playoffs, some basketball, Fox Sports. We might get into that a little bit, get a little spicy there, and some fun announcements at the end of the show. So first, I just want to start the show by saying we lost a big listener over the holiday break. RIP Jimmy Carter was definitely a second year podcast fan. So I just want to say RIP Jimmy. Did you see his funeral was today? Did you see Donald Trump talking to Barack Obama during his funeral?
Oh, I did not. I must have missed
Oh, dude, if I could be a fly on the wall for that
it. Yeah.
conversation. Barack Obama was just listening to Trump talk about God knows what when Jimmy Carter's being, during his funeral. It was very funny. So RIP him. First video show. And really, I want to start with Jake. How are your holidays? It's been a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
First show of 2025. Tell me about the holidays, man. How were they?
Very good, man. I love spending time with my family. Dude, we had this board game. It's not really a board game. It's a card game sweeping our family and friends called Wolverine. You know it from the Yak.
Oh, yeah.
We played that. I played that a million times over break with my family, Shelby's family. Courtney had a
That
game
can
night
get
because she loved it
dangerous
so
to
much.
play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With family.
Yeah. Luckily, all the family was very tame, very into it, all very fun. Courtney loved it so much. She had a game night with her friends, invited us over, friends and family, and her friends were going at each other. It was hilarious to watch. I think our friends would be electric playing that game. And Shelby and I have the card versions of it now, so we're going to have to run that at some
definitely
point.
have to play that. That shit gets cutthroat, too.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's all lying and it's basically the card form of like Among Us, right?
Mm-hmm.
More or less.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. And my favorite gift, shout out my sister-in-law Courtney. She got me a road white Alec Pierce jersey. Pretty sick.
Oh, that's
like
sweet.
It. I know. I love it. I love Alec Pierce. I know he's not the best wide receiver in the world, but man, he's my boy.
Best wide receiver on the Colts.
Yeah, 100%. Like factual by just every stat imaginable. Plus, you know what should be a stat? Penalty yards cost. Because he has caused so many yards additionally. Like, if you add those yards to his receiving yards, he'd be over 1,000 easy.
Yeah.
Because he causes so many pass interference yards. Love Alec Pierce. So fast. So fun.
Joe Flacco would be a Hall of Famer if we counted pass interference stats, too. That dude loves throwing deep balls for pass interference. And that's not just this year. That's been his entire career.
I know. Yeah. You're so right. You're so right.
Holidays were good. Went over to my parents' house Christmas Day. It was a great time. Justin Herbert jersey for Christmas. Just in case shit goes wrong with the Bears this offseason, I've already decided that I'm jumping ship and going to be a Chargers fan. So I got that. Let's see, what else? I got 2 more jerseys.
You get a jersey and immediately the facility might burn down.
Yeah, I know, exactly. yeah. Shout out all the people in LA. Hope you're doing well.
Hope you're doing
Hope
good,
your shit doesn't burn down.
Dude,
Caleb Williams.
Dunze and Williams. Oh, Kmet.
Cole Kmet.
Nice. I thought that was 15.
No. So, add that to the growing list. And then we also have our jersey swap coming up here with our friends. So another jersey to add to the collection here soon. But holidays were great. Excited to hit 2025 hard with the podcast. First video show. Let's get into it. Let's talk some college football. Before we get into the previews of tonight's game and tomorrow's game, I just want to get your overall thoughts on the first year of the 12-team playoff. Is it is it everything that you thought it would be going into it? What changes need to be made? If you have any changes, I just want to get your thoughts on what we've seen for the first 2 rounds.
It's been very exciting. I would say it's not as exciting as I thought it would be because we saw all along that if they would have done a 4-team or an 8-team playoff, that would have been fine. But people complaining about 12 are losers. More teams in, more games, more fun. I don't care if they're blowouts. I like to see the Boise States of the world try to get in there, hang tough. Thing I would change immediately is I don't know why we have auto buys for conference champions. Conference champions should get auto bids, not auto buys. Secondly, I would love to personally see NFL reseeding in this college football playoff. I think if you deserve the number 1 seed like Oregon, and they would have lost to Ohio State at any point in this tournament, let me get that clear. But I think they should have been a reseeding, and they would have played Ohio State anyway, now that I come to think of it. But do you see what I mean? I like the reseeding of the NFL.
They wouldn't have played them in the second round. Oh God, we lost Jake. First episode, we're getting the kinks out, dude.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. I think that if you get the number 1 seed or number 2 seed, you should get to play a lower ranked team that's deserved, in my opinion. That solves some of these auto buys, in my opinion, too, because you are rewarding higher ranked teams later on down the line. So I think it's an easy fix.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the first 2 rounds, the games haven't been super competitive. Right. But that's like kind of college football, right? Like we see every week that teams blow teams out in the regular season all the time. The people that are complaining saying we should have 4, I don't know who said this, and I apologize. I'm stealing this take from somebody. I saw it on Twitter. But if we just had 4 this year, we would have had a bowl game of Indiana, Tennessee, and neither team would have played anybody, and nobody would have given a fuck about that bowl game. At least now we have extra games where the kids are playing. They aren't opting out. They're not entering the transfer portal, like all this stuff. At least you have more competitive football at the end of the year. And that alone makes this a win, in my opinion.
100%. What do you think about all the teams that had a bye losing? I found it interesting.
It's interesting. It's not, I mean, Arizona State and Boise State losing isn't super surprising, right? Because we kind of just talked about they probably shouldn't have had the 3rd and 4th seed in this tournament. Oregon got a bad draw for sure because Ohio State is going to win this whole thing. Like, Ohio State's going to win, right?
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I think if Ohio State wants to win, they can win. But we can get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I think Oregon would have been better off if they lost to Penn State in the Big Ten championship game, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, look at Penn State's path right now. I mean, they had SMU, who was, probably the 11th best team in this tournament. And then Boise State, who we talked about didn't deserve an automatic bye. Yeah. So Oregon would have still been here, still been in play if they would have lost the Big Ten championship, and that's bad. Now, this is the first year, right? And it's not going to be perfect in the first year no matter what you did. I just hope they use this as an opportunity to fix stuff.
I agree.
If we continue doing this, then it's going to be a problem, but we'll see what they do in the offseason. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we get in the games is the SEC versus the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Bad bowl game run here for the SEC, losing to every Big Ten team imaginable.
Especially after you talk all that smack. I mean, just about how I think was it Lane Kiffin? He's the one that went out and said that there aren't even tiers to this thing. It's like SEC is way up here, and then Big Ten's like here, and then everyone else is down here. I mean, he's obviously proven wrong. My only devil's advocate to that would be, you just pointed out these bowl games don't matter. The transfer portal opens before these bowl games are played. A lot of these quarterbacks, top tier players on these teams are gone from certain teams. Yeah. So it's hard to like really delineate if the Big Ten is so much better than the SEC. But because they were so brash and bold about how they were talking, every single one of them, no one gets a pass, in my opinion. They deserve the slander that's coming their way.
Big time. And I just think you can say some people transfer or opted out or whatever for these bowl games, but like the Alabama-Michigan game, Jalen Milroe played.
Yeah.
Like so these guys for Alabama played and they
Right.
lost to Michigan, who, we watch Michigan play all year, and they're actually playing. They played their best football as of late, beating Ohio State and then beating Alabama. That's a great way to end the season for them with no
100%.
quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
I
you
think
losing to Michigan is no excuse. No excuse.
no,
And no quarterback on that team. A lot of guys in Michigan opted out as well. I mean, bad look.
yeah, bad look. And I just think historically and within the last 20 years, SEC has been king. I will still say the SEC is still the top division just because I want to see more than a year of it,
Right.
And I know
Mm-hmm.
Michigan won last year or whatever, but like, let's see a little bit more before I'm like, yeah, the Big Ten is taking over. I'm a Big Ten guy. I loved Illinois beating at South Carolina. That was awesome.
Right.
But
Fun game. Fun game.
fun game. That was a fun game. There was actually some really fun bowl games this year.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the games that matter.
Yep.
Tonight, Notre Dame, Penn State. Last I checked, Notre Dame 1.5-point favorites.
Yep.
I believe the total is like 44.5, 43.5. It's kind of been hovering around there. What are your thoughts on these two teams? Because me personally, I think these teams are the Spider-Man meme, looking at each
100%.
other,
Yep.
because it's like they're the same exact team. I'm rooting for Notre Dame. What scares me is the quarterback for Penn State's better than Notre Dame's quarterback, and that's
100%.
That's what I'm worried about.
100%. Notre Dame, I've been on them from the very beginning. You asked me at the very beginning who I picked to win this all. I said Notre Dame. I still think Notre Dame has a great chance to go to the national championship because of their run game and their defense. That defense is terrifying. But what you said, Drew Aller, I want Drew Aller on the Colts one day. I think Drew Aller is going to be a real deal kind of guy. I think Tyler Warren is the best player on the football field if he wants to be, and most of the time he is. He is incredible. I also want that guy in the Colts this year. Draft Warren this year, draft Aller next year, and then we go. And then, yeah, man. But all that said, I'm a sucker, and I'm going to take Notre Dame -1.5 tonight. I'm going to do it. I don't care, because I think that these teams are going to punch each other in the mouth, and all Notre Dame has to do is punch first, and then that defense can hold. They've proven it all year. So, and they've proven it in these bowl games. So,
yeah, I mean the run they're on since that NIU game is unbelievable. They've just been killing everyone outside that Louisville game. They've been dominating everybody. And I have to give Marcus Freeman credit, because I read this story this week, and I'm sure this came out before and I just missed it. But Thomas Hammock, the NIU head coach, after the game said to Marcus Freeman, like, hey, I can help you go over how we exploited your team and like help you fix it. And Marcus Freeman put his pride to the side. A lot of coaches wouldn't, and his ego to the side. A lot of coaches wouldn't do that and just be like, no, I'm going to do it my way and we're going to figure it out. Marcus Freeman took him up on it, and ever since then, they've been lights out. And I don't know what Thomas Hammock said to him, but whatever he said has worked. And I'm going to pick Notre Dame as well, because I like Marcus Freeman as a head coach a hell of a lot more than James Franklin. James Franklin, not a big game coach guy. You could argue this is his first big game of the college football playoff, as far as like a team that they're going to have to punch up to or punch to their level. 100%. And just based on history alone, and I said it before, I'm not going to trust James Franklin to win 4 playoff games and win a national title until I see it. So I'm going to pick Notre Dame. I will say Drew Aller has a good chance to play really well in these next 2 games and go to the NFL draft this year, because that guy, if he has 2 good games here, I think could be a first-round pick in this year's draft. If I think a team would convince themselves that, like, Drew Aller, that's the guy. So that's also something to look out for. Would be very unfortunate for Penn State, because Bo Prabula already, their backup quarterback, who actually played for Penn State a little bit this year in certain packages, has already transferred. And I think he's at Missouri now, if I'm not mistaken. So Penn State could be in a little bit of trouble there, but that's a storyline worth looking at, worth watching, in my opinion, because I think that could be very interesting.
Absolutely.
Do you have a final score for tonight? People are going to be watching this probably tomorrow morning, so they're going to be like talking, they're going to be like, well, let's see what these assholes said about this, and look how wrong we were.
I'm tempted to take the under. I think this is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 24-14. That would put the points at 38. You said it's like 44. I'm tempted to
Mm.
put a unit on the under. I might do that. I don't think it goes over. If it goes over, then Notre Dame is in trouble. That's what
Yeah.
I'll say.
Yes. 100%. Because they don't have the playmakers.
14. Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw, there's a flu outbreak in the Notre Dame locker room right now too. So
Shit! I did not see that.
everybody is sick in the Notre Dame locker room, I guess. So that's something to look out for as well. I will say the final score is going to be Notre Dame. This is going to be Notre Dame 17, Penn State 13. It's going to be a very
low scoring.
I think it's going to be some ugly football tonight. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, I think we're both on Notre Dame here. Let's move on. Let's do Texas versus Ohio State. I don't have that line in front of me now. I'm looking at it now.
5.5. I think.
Do you have it? 5.5.
It was earlier today. It was 5.5 on FanDuel.
Boy, that is Ohio State. It's Ohio State for me. I don't know. I think Ohio State should be favored by more than 5.5 points. I know it's in Texas. I get it. Ohio State's going to travel. I'm not worried about a home field advantage for Texas at all. Texas is just far too inconsistent. And when I say Texas, I don't want to put it all on Texas. Quinn Ewers is far too inconsistent for me to believe in anything with Texas.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. When Quinn Ewers coming into this season, I would have said Quinn Ewers is going to be the best quarterback coming out in this draft. I've said it before. I know I'm on record saying that, and I just don't believe it anymore. I don't know what I would do if I needed a quarterback in this draft. And, I mean, my pro team kind of does need a quarterback. So I'm 100% fine running Richardson back another year because of that, because I don't trust these quarterbacks in the draft. I don't trust the free agent quarterbacks. But, yeah, getting back to Texas, I just don't think that Arizona State game was a fluke. I think that that's kind of who they really are. They're better than Arizona State, and they pulled that one out, and they're gritty and they're tough. But Ohio State just comes out and dominates. And there are certain players you cannot stop on Ohio State, and I think that's going to be a real issue for Texas. And I think they lose by 2 touchdowns probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Texas, as far as upside goes, of like the most perfect version of Texas, is probably the second best team in this tournament left, in my opinion.
Right.
But the problem is you're only going to get a quarter of the perfect Texas team, and you can't play a quarter of perfect Texas football and beat Ohio State. Because
you're playing the best team left.
State game. Right. And look at the Arizona State game last week. They got out to that 7-0 lead early, 10-0 lead early, whatever it was, on Quinn Ewers' 2 throws, and we were like, "Oh, this is gonna be a fucking blowout." And
it wasn't.
Then it turned into the best playoff game we've had so far.
Oh, by a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that final score is gonna be Ohio State. I'm gonna say 35. 35-17.
That's okay. I was going to go 38-24. Exactly 14 points.
Yeah. I think I think Ohio State, the way they've played these last couple weeks, the way that they game planned against Oregon, where they were just like, we're going to throw Jeremiah Smith the ball every single time we can, is how you should win. And I hope Ryan Day doesn't try to go back to the old Michigan way of beating teams and be like, we're going to try to run the ball and be physical, and we're going to beat them how we want to beat them. Ryan Day needs to just let Will Howard throw it to Carnell Tate and Ibuka and Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, that guy, it's not fair that he has to play college for another 2 years. Because he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft this year.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, probably.
Like, he's 6'4". He is like Marvin Harrison Jr. When I watched him at Ohio State, I was like, this is like the best college receiver I've seen in a while. And Jeremiah Smith is already like right there, like above him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I saw his numbers this year are like similar to Terry McLaurin's career numbers at Ohio State. If that gives you an idea of like what Jeremiah Smith has been doing. All right. Any other?
Well, I feel like
let's talk.
One more thought on that. I feel like it's kind of weird because even Marvin had to sit for multiple years. You know, they decided to screw it. We're throwing Jeremiah out there right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sure Terry, that's probably the same situation with Terry. I don't know exactly for sure, but I bet it is that he sat for
he probably
2 or
didn't
3
play.
years.
Yeah, he probably didn't play until his junior year, right? Sophomore, junior year. So, Yeah, that's a good point. I also saw Carson Beck
Yeah,
going to the
big
transfer
news.
portal.
Where do you think he
Yeah,
lands?
it's a good question. Miami is my first
Oh, he
inclination.
seems like a Miami guy for
Yeah,
sure. That
his
is, I think
girlfriend
you
goes to
hit the.
Miami.
Isn't he dating a
He's
Cavender twin?
Yeah, he's dating a Cavender who goes to Miami, so that's why I'm
Yeah,
like Carson
that
Beck
makes
to
way too much
Miami,
sense. Yeah,
and I just want to shout out Carson Beck for realizing that going to the NFL draft was going to be a bad idea. So
yeah.
good for him.
Now he
Good
has
for him.
injury concerns too. So
Yeah. So good for him. Let him get because he Miami or one of these teams is going to pay him a lot of money to be their quarterback,
oh yeah,
and maybe he has a good year and can reset and go to the draft next year.
for sure, 100%.
Um, let's see. Any other college things before we move on? Before we get to the NFL,
I don't think so. I don't
I'm
think so.
excited. I'm excited for these
I'm
games. We
excited
have
too.
tonight's game, tomorrow's game, and then 3 straight day. We have 5 straight days of playoff football, which is
Hmm.
unbelievable. It is
So
going to
great.
be an awesome, awesome weekend, and I can't wait. Let's move on to the NFL before we get into the NFL playoff preview that we're going to do here. I just got to shout out my Chicago Bears. Beat the Packers.
They
I tell you
did.
what, God damn
Huge
it, I
game.
can't believe they did it. It looked really bad. DJ Moore tried to fumble the game away, literally, but I I I was happy we beat the Packers. It wasn't one of those deals where it's like, man, draft pick. Wish we had a better draft pick. If we would have beat like the Raiders or something, yeah, I probably would have been a little pissed off. But
Right.
it's like anytime you can beat the Packers, you got to take that.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what I was thinking about. Same thing, exact same thing for the Colts too. Very ugly, and winning cost us some draft spots. But dude, you have to set a good culture for your franchise. You have to beat your division rivals all
yeah.
the time. Every
Mm-hmm.
time you can, beat them. Let them know you're superior. You
Yeah.
have to win. Great win for the Bears. Oh no,
Yeah.
that's number two.
And honestly, honestly, I'm really happy for Thomas Brown because that was his first
Yeah,
career win as a head coach. 1-0 versus the Packers. He'll always
yeah,
have that. Um, and it was just nice to see the I saw the post game speech that he gave and stuff like that, and you could tell that he was like, I'm not going to be around next year. Like you could tell that he knew that,
he knew it.
but he
Yeah,
was like, anytime you guys need anything in life, play anything, give me a call. You can just tell he loves his players and the guys that play for him. And I
right.
think that's going to go a long way at his next spot. I saw he just wrapped up an interview to be the Seahawks OC. So I'm hoping he gets an offensive coordinator job at some point because when he was up in the booth calling plays for the Bears for those 3 games before he became the interim head coach and had to move to the sideline, the offense looked the best is looked all year. So I don't know if that
For
had
sure.
something. I just think he was overwhelmed, right? Like
Yeah,
he was the passing game coordinator, and then all of a sudden he was the passing game or the quarterback coach or something, and then he went straight into being the head coach of the entire football team within a month. So it's like,
100%.
that's just a lot to take on at one time, and I think he'll be fine wherever he goes next year as an
Yep.
OC. Um, so yeah, how do you want to do this? Let's do.
I fear how
I'm,
we're gonna do it.
yeah, I'm trying to. Let's talk about. Well, we had the end of the season press conference for the Bears. My GM actually, did it on time and didn't fake sick like some other GMs.
Yeah, he's
Um,
got to prepare for what's coming. I'm sure mentally.
um, the things that came out of it, absolutely nothing. That's the thing with these like
Yeah.
end of the year press conferences that everyone gets all up in arms about. Nothing was said that was like of any importance, really.
No,
So nothing,
not at all.
nothing to really take away from there. Uh, I'm
They just
upset
don't
for
have to
Ryan
talk.
Poles.
They just don't have to talk throughout the year. So
Yeah,
this is the
right.
last time to throw any questions that all the fans have had throughout the year. For polls,
Yeah,
for Ballard. So that's why
yeah.
they do it. But yeah, nothing's coming of it.
I'm upset that Ryan Poles is going to be in charge of picking the next head coach, but I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see what happens. let's talk about the Colts really quick. Colts retain Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen. No changes in the front office, head coaching staff, anything. Gus Bradley fired after 3 seasons as the defensive coordinator.
Probably his contract just ran out. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And that's the thing. Yeah. And that's the thing. People on Twitter are like, oh, scapegoat. It's like, yeah, but I agree with you. He is the scapegoat of the season, but he also deserved to go too. So it's one of those things that it's like.
Also, you don't want, I didn't know his contract was up. You don't want.
You're not renewing him.
Yeah. You don't want to renew Gus Bradley. Yeah. So tell me how you're feeling about this whole thing with the Colts.
So let's start at the top. Ballard. I wanted him gone. I think this has been 8 years now, 9 years. I don't even know for sure. It's time for him to go. Obviously, he doesn't build teams that are super successful. Now, what I will give him credit on, he's not a bad GM. He'll build you a team that can stay competitive and win some games, but we're never going to go over the top with Ballard there. I'd rather see him go. I don't know what the point of keeping him is. We've had continuity before. It hasn't worked out. It's always been somebody else's fault. Frank Reich fell on the sword before. Shane Steichen taking a lot of heat now. Let's move to Steichen. I was 60-40, 60% wanted to keep Steichen, 40% if he goes. That's fine. I get it. I probably would have been cool with everybody going. There are probably 4 or 5 guys on this team right now that if they went, I'd be incredibly upset. And that is a very, very small percentage. So,
give me those 4 guys.
I want Taylor. I know what I've said in the past about Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, him fumbling the ball in Denver, how he did, is inexcusable. It sets a bad tone. He's the leader. But that guy is incredible over the last, month of the season. He led the league in touchdowns and rushing yards. He flashed like he was Jonathan Taylor of 2021. He was all the way back. He fought through injuries. He played well. DeForest Buckner, incredible guy, incredible teammate. I think he sets a good culture on the team. Buckner does not deserve anything that's going on right now with this. Keep Buckner around. Keep his running mate Grover Stewart around. Grover Stewart is incredibly underpaid for what he is. He's an incredible defensive tackle. Our run defense is incredibly bad without Grover Stewart. He does not get the national media attention. A very good nose tackle. Quentin Nelson is first Colts player all time to be All-Pro every year. He's been in the league, I believe, Pro Bowl. He's incredible. He had another resurgence year. I think last year.
Last year was a down year for him.
I think it was 2022 or 2023. I can't remember which one. He did have a little bit of a down year, but a down year for Quentin Nelson is still worth the money. He reproved it again. So that's 4 right there. Maybe it's only 4. Anybody else, I'd be like, I kind of get it. We're not going to move off guys that are still young and learning, like Josh Downs and A.D. Mitchell and even Alec Pierce. Pittman is overpaid. There's no good way to get off his contract. Nobody's trading for him. I will say for Pittman's case, obviously he had a broken back.
The back injury is tough. Yeah.
He had a fractured back and played through it. I get it. I understand anybody that's frustrated with Michael Pittman. I hear your concerns. I get it. He is a warrior. He'll fight. He doesn't go down on tackles. Knowing he had a broken back and still fighting the way he does. I'll keep Michael Pittman on this team. He's
Next year, I think, is going to be a little bit of a bounce back year for Pittman because
if he's
it just kind of has to be. Yeah, because if he comes back healthy, I think we're going to see a different Michael Pittman than we did this year.
I guess my fifth, I would say Kenny Moore. I think Kenny Moore is also a good locker room guy. He calls out the bullshit. He plays hard. He's one of the best nickels, undersized but super physical. I love Kenny Moore. So there's my 5. Give me Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, Jonathan Taylor, and who else did I say? Oh, Quentin Nelson. So give me those guys back. If you change anybody else, I get it.
Yeah.
Get Zaire Franklin off my team, which is crazy because Zaire Franklin is such a good story, and he heel turned in 1 year. I don't understand it. He's a 7th round pick out of Syracuse that battled for years, 2 or 3 years on the special teams, Pro Bowler on the special team, captain of the special teams, fought through it, and then to go to war with the biggest internet personality maybe that there is, and on top of that has been a champion for the city of Indianapolis when he did not have to be, is ludicrous. I don't understand it. I think that he is part of a bad locker room culture. He doesn't take accountability. It's everybody else's fault besides his own. He has terrible comments on this stupid ass podcast he does, and then he goes out and he doesn't live up to hype. And we rewarded him. We voided a year of a contract, added an extension, premature. I just don't get it.
I tell you what, he'll tell you that he loves telling you that he's led the league in tackles since 2022 or whatever his, stat. And also, I want to hear your thoughts about this on his podcast. It also doesn't sound like we're going to get Zaire Franklin on the podcast anytime soon, which is fine. But,
No, hopefully not. Hopefully he's in
what
a different city.
What did you think of him saying? What did he say? Line tackles aren't a winning stat. Is that or winning isn't a linebacker stat? Is that what he said? Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, that's crazy.
Winning is however many hundreds of people there are in the building. It goes all the way to the assistants of the assistants of the assistant defensive back coach. Winning is an everybody stat. Everybody has to show up, set a culture, and everybody has to be accountable. And when you're the starting linebacker, of course it's a winning stat. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. I couldn't believe he said that. I could not believe he said that.
He just shoots himself in the foot over and over and over again. It's honestly incredible to watch, man. It's incredible to watch. But I mean, I think here's what I hope, and it's not going to happen. Ballard will learn a little bit from his mistakes and draft some more high skill positions. If they don't work out, fine, but at least try to get high skill positions that are going to help Anthony Richardson right now. When Andrew Luck was drafted, the first thing that Grigson did was drafted 2 tight ends in the same draft. Immediately try to help Andrew Luck there. We need to get tight end. Yeah, and T.Y. Hilton.
They got T.Y. Hilton in the same draft?
Yep, 5th round pick, T.Y. Hilton, 4th or 5th round pick, which incredible hit. Good job. But we need more security blankets for Anthony Richardson. Obviously, our tight end room is the most embarrassing in the league. I cannot honestly think of another tight end room that is worse, and that should have been called into question more in the offseason.
Yeah.
And then what I want is high school positions, and then in free agency, we don't have to get top tier guys. We don't have to get the best guys at the position, but we need to add competition at every single secondary spot there is on this defense. Just add competition. We added competition for one guy this year, and it was Nick Cross. And Nick Cross was one of the most outstanding players there was on defense. Nick Cross actually rose to those levels that we were hoping he would be at. So just add competition, make those guys earn their jobs, make those guys fight, make those guys want to be on the field every day, and see if we got something. And if you don't, fine. But Ballard, I just cannot go through another year of drafting backup tackles and backup defensive ends and hoping that something pans out, and they're all mediocre, except for the offensive line has been pretty good that he's drafted. The defensive ends are all the same exact player. If I told you Dio Dangbo, Taekwon Lewis, Kwity Paye, Liatu Latu, you wouldn't be like, that guy's better than the other. They're all the exact same player, and they're all been – our best defensive end went down with injury, and it was a free agent ad, Samson Abukum. If he can come back, that'd be great. But just add some skill positions, please. And A.D. Mitchell, learn how to catch the ball. There we go. That's my offseason recap.
Yeah, that is the one thing I noticed with the Colts this year. And it's not just this year, but it's kind of been this cycle with Ballard where Ballard drafts his guys, he pays his guys, and that's it. And those guys get the starting spots no matter what. There is no
competition,
sort of competition for anything. Everything is just kind of given to them, and nothing is earned. And I think that is really bad for a football team.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and honestly, what killed this team, man, was our leader. Our heart and soul had a nerve injury with Shaquille Leonard. And him going out. That was when the Colts were at their absolute best. It was Shaq causing all these kinds of turnovers, bringing the energy every single play. Man, I miss Shaq. It's felt on this defense.
Yeah, big time. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about some playoff teams here. Let me try to pull something up. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's Let's go to the old ESPN.com, and then let's just start at. You want to just start the game Saturday and kind of actually. How about we do this? You want to do our quarterback thing first, and then
let's do it,
because I think that will actually be better than starting with that. So I texted Jake yesterday, and I said I want you to rank. I ranked them by conference. I have 7 NFC quarterbacks and 7 AFC quarterbacks. Guys that when they're in the playoffs and it's 3rd and 6 and you need a play to be made.
I'm glad you're framing it like this.
Who are you trusting to like make that play for you? Is what this list is. It's not who the best player is this year. It's not who's playing the best right now. It's you're in the playoffs. Buttholes get tight. It's 3rd and 6. You need to win the game here. This is who I want playing quarterback for me of the quarterbacks left in the playoffs. Do you want to go? Do you want to just do each individual list and then we compare? Do you want to start at 1 and then we'll work our way down and see where we end up?
I'm down to do it however you want. A little sneak peek about me. I only have 3. So 2 of them are going to be universal. 1 of them is going to be a little bit more. You'll be like, wow, I think.
Okay. Okay. So let's just start here. NFC. Let's start with the NFC. Because I think the AFC. Actually, let's start with the AFC because I think the AFC is a little more cut and dry with what we're at here. AFC quarterbacks, number 1, I have Mahomes.
100%.
Easy. Number 2, I have Josh Allen.
Easy. Those are my 2 that were cut and dry, clear.
Cool. 3rd one, this is going to be controversial. I'm going with Justin Herbert. 3.
Yeah. So my list stops at those top 2. Now, if you're just wanting to rank them 1 to 7, I would probably agree with that as well.
Yeah, I went Herbert 3, Jackson 4. The offense has been totally different for the Ravens this year, and I think that is going to help them a lot in the playoffs. But I'm just going on historical, what we've seen from Lamar in the playoffs. It has not been pretty. It's kind of like the Penn State thing. I'm just going to keep kind of picking against it until it happens.
Yep.
That's not to say Lamar Jackson's. I love Lamar Jackson. I'd love to have Lamar Jackson on my team, but I think I just trust Herbert a little bit more in that situation. I have Jackson 4, CJ Stroud 5, Russell Wilson 6, and then the rookie Bo Nix 7. Is kind of where I'm at.
Yep, I would agree with that. But if you ask me who I actually trust, it's just Mahomes and Allen.
I would say, yeah. I mean, it's those 2, and then kind of a gap. I would agree with you.
Big gap, yeah.
But the AFC quarterbacks are much better than the NFC quarterbacks. I will say that. With kind of just going through, I was looking at all these stats, and I tell you what, the talent gap between AFC quarterbacks and NFC quarterbacks are crazy because the Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Jackson, Stroud 5 are going to be in the league for the next 10 years at least, right? And like that's kind of going to be the 5 in the AFC until further notice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on. What? And then Burrow. And then Burrow. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Burrow's in that Mahomes Allen tier.
For sure.
If they made the playoffs. NFC's interesting. NFC's real interesting. I'm into. How about you start here? Who's your number 1?
Matthew Stafford, number 1. I trust him above all these other guys. I was looking at it. There's not a single other NFC quarterback that 3rd and 6, we're down by 8. We got to go not only get this first down, get a touchdown, we got to get a 2-point conversion too. I'm taking Stafford over all of them. Next one is not even really close for me. So I'm going Stafford. And I would put Stafford in those 3 I trust. Mahomes, Allen, Stafford.
I have Stafford 2 in the NFC. I'm going to go Jared Goff 1 this year because I have just been so impressed. I know there's been a couple games that's been shaky for Jared Goff, the 5 interception game with Houston and stuff like that, but they trust him to make plays in that Lions offense, and there's times where he's had to carry the Lions offense who they're 15-2. Is that what their final record? Yeah, 15-2 this season. They lost to the Bucks and they lost to the Buffalo Bills in a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been very impressed that they've kind of had to lean on Jared Goff at times, and he's been able to step up and like throw it 50 times a game and then throw 4 touchdowns and like get 2 point conversions when they need it. And uh, yeah, that's more about the guys around him. I was about to say
That's the
that has
100%. I
nothing to.
was just about to say that
Yeah. I was
because
about to say something. Yeah. But
just go back to that Vikings game that just happened. They didn't win that game because of Matthew Stafford. Not at all. They ran the ball incredibly well. That defense
Jared
picked
Goff.
them up. Sorry, Jared Goff didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Sorry, old Lions takes.
Yeah.
Gibbs carried that team.
Gibbs is awesome.
Defensively, they made Sam Darnold look like old Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there was a couple golf plays that I was like, "What are you doing, Goff?"
Yeah, that is true. That is true, 100%. And I'm talked into Stafford at 1 now. I'll go Stafford 1. I've been talked into. I can be talked into things. I'll go Stafford 1 because those two were really close for me. It wasn't like a gap between them.
No, it's not a huge
I'll go
gap.
Stafford. I have Goff 2. I went Jalen Hurts 3. Because of the playoff success they've had, like they made it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I kind of have to just go with that. I went Baker Mayfield 4. Baker's played his balls off this year, man. He's been awesome for the Buccaneers. And that's a team that has had a lot of injuries this year that they've kind of had to get through and navigate. Losing Chris Godwin and Mike Evans in the same game, Godwin for the year, and then Evans, I think he missed 4 games plus their bye. That's a lot of navigating they had to do. And I'm very impressed that Baker has been able to get guys like Jalen McMillan and Cade Otton and guys like that who aren't household names, but like he's gotten them to play really good football. Right. So I'll go Baker 4 because of the rushing ability. I'm going to go Jaden Daniels 5.
I agree with this.
I think that's the offensive rookie of the year. He's been really good. And there's been a lot of games this year where the Commanders kind of needed him to step up late in games, and he's done it. So 100%. I know the playoffs are a totally different thing, but I'll go Jaden Daniels 5. 6 and 7, kind of interchangeable for me. I'm going to go Sam Darnold 6 over Jordan Love. Jordan Love is 7 for me. I'm not afraid of Jordan Love. I'll say it.
Or Darnold, to be honest with you.
Or I'm not afraid of Darnold either, but like Jordan Love specifically, like Taylor, I know you're watching this, brother. I don't know if Jordan Love is going to be. I don't know if I'm too scared of Jordan Love. And then Sam Darnold, we saw what happened. I mean, that Week 17 game was a playoff game. That was the biggest game of the season, and we saw what the Lions defense with all those injuries. They got Alex Anzalone back. That one addition to that defense, he was flying around making all sorts of plays for him. Made that defense so much better with just one guy going fucking Bob Sanders mode out there. I'll go Sam Darnold 6 and then Jordan Love 7. Yeah, those are my quarterbacks that I trust. I don't know.
Gun to your head though, who do you actually just trust? Is it just Stafford? Do you throw Goff in there too? It's just those two that probably even considered, right?
No, I honestly would go Goff, Stafford. I trust Hurts. And then honestly, I was looking at Mayfield stuff. Mayfield in the fourth quarter has been awesome this year in nut crunching time. So I would even throw Mayfield in that mix of like, when you're asking me guys I trust, yeah, I would throw Baker on there because I like Baker a lot. I'm a Baker fan.
I love Baker. I'm not.
Yeah,
no, thank you. I love him.
I'll throw Baker on that list. Why not? Okay, let's talk about some of these games this weekend, and we can kind of quickly run through these. I'm pulling up the old schedule right now. First game we have Saturday, Los Angeles Chargers at the Houston Texans. This is going to be a Chargers win. We talked about it all year, where it's like whoever gets to play the Texans in the first round, lucky you, right? Is that kind of your thinking here?
That's kind of my thinking too. There's a lot of extra stuff going on outside in the world right now that I wonder if it's going to affect these guys. Because not only now they got to worry about what's going on in their hometown, they got to leave and they got to go on the road. I think the Texans might come out firing. I wouldn't shock me to see a Texans dub in this and then see the Texans just get demolished in round 2. But with that being said, if all things were totally equal, I would bet the Chargers. But for those reasons, that's a stay away in terms of betting for me. But I'll act like everything's equal and I'll say the Chargers. How about that?
Yeah. The Harbaugh, Herbert, they're able to run the ball. Their offensive line's awesome. They've gotten their guys to play better defense this year. Khalil Mack's having a resurgence. He's had a really nice year this year. Yeah, I'll go Chargers. Pittsburgh at Baltimore, Saturday night, Prime Video, no free ads. Zay Flowers is out for this game, which I think is worth noting. I think that's a huge loss for the Ravens. With all that being said, I'm going to pick the Ravens. The last I checked, it was 9.5 was the spread. I think the Steelers covered that spread. 9.5 is way too many points in a Steelers-Ravens playoff game.
NFC North battle.
Yeah. I'll take the points with Pittsburgh, but I think Baltimore wins this game. What are your thoughts on it?
No, Baltimore's way more talented. Pittsburgh's going through an incredible slump right now. I don't think that it just changes because it's the playoffs. I think it actually gets worse. I think the Ravens win this game. I think it's a touchdown game.
What do the Steelers do this offseason? Do you think they bring Russ or Justin Fields back?
I mean, maybe, but the thing is, it's the Steelers. Like, I know it's an old cliche, but I really believe that this is what they are. I don't know. They're kind of like the slightly better version of the Colts for me. You know, they're going to be 10-7, and they're going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to do anything in the playoffs, and they're going to be just slightly above average. You know, they're going to out-physical you if you're a decent team, but playing against these good teams, I don't expect anything of them.
Yeah, and for the people, there's been a lot of talk on the internet about Tomlin, and I will say this. 25 out of the other fan bases would love to have what the Steelers have, right?
100%.
Where they win every year, they have over 500 record, they make the playoffs more often than not. But when the Steelers are one of the more historic franchises in the NFL and kind of judge their success on Super Bowls, I kind of get the Steeler fans that are like, I'm kind of sick of Tomlin's shit. You know, I kind of get it. I think it's crazy, but I get it at the same time.
No, you know, it's totally
kind of me and you are Pacer fans. You know, we kind of have gone through that our entire life, more or less, with the Pacers, right?
He's the Nate McMillan of coaches.
He's the
Nate McMillan was a good coach, and we won.
He was a good coach.
We went to the playoffs, and we lose in the first round every single year.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's true. Denver at Buffalo. The Denver story has been cute. Buffalo's going to win this game.
Yeah, keep it moving.
The Denver pass rush is incredible. I want to shout them out. That group
Bonito, dude,
is unbelievable. They've been great. Zach Allen has been awesome this year. He looks like J.J. Watt. It's crazy. But Buffalo just is too much for
100%.
You think Bo Nix is going to go into Buffalo and beat Josh Allen? Ain't happening. So
I saw Bo Nix throw 3 interceptions to the Colts at home. So no, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah. And then Green Bay at Philadelphia, which I think is kind of probably the best game of the weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be a good game.
Jalen Hurts still in concussion protocol last I checked, but everything I've seen is saying that he's going to play. So, you know, things are good on that front. The Bears hurt both their quarterbacks last week. So, you know, both of them are kind of banged up with thumb injuries or hand injuries. We'll see what happens with that. And then Christian Watson tore the fuck out of his knee again, and he's out for the season. I want to hear your prediction on this before I say anything.
21-20, Green Bay Packers. Packers are going to win this.
You think the Packers win on the road?
Fuck. I do. I do think they win.
Man. The Packers, I know what I just said about Jordan Love, but Matt LaFleur is an unbelievable head coach. And after the Bears game on Sunday, I got a little peek into Packers Twitter, and that is the most ungrateful group of motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life. Because
more ungrateful than Colts fans for you?
What?
More ungrateful.
The way they talk about Matt LaFleur is the way I talk about Matt Eberflus.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know if you guys realize how good you have it until Matty Ice is out the door. But I can't pick the Packers. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think Saquon is going to have a huge game. We're going to see some crazy Saquon this weekend. I'm gonna make a prediction. Saquon 200 total yards this weekend. So
I'm just
I'll
not
pick
going
the
to sit up
Eagles.
here. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that the Packers are a mess stuff up team all year long, wait for them, and then not pick them. Packers are going to mess stuff up, and it's just how it is every year. They're
Yeah,
gonna go in there, they're gonna muck it
that's
up, and
true.
they're gonna win.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a great point. And then we have Washington at Tampa. This game is just a real. This could go either way for me. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised. Like the Commanders' story has been awesome this year. They looked like shit at times. Same with the Buccaneers. Like they didn't win a ton of games this year. I think I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go Bucks here. I'm gonna go
okay.
Bucks. I like Baker better than Jaden Daniels. I think is what it comes down to for me.
I think Baker 100% right now is better, but I'm going to go young and exciting. I think these guys are going to come in firing. I think the Washington Commanders are going to be fired up. I think Daniels is going to make some really fun runs and some really fun passes to Scary Terry. I'm going to take the Commanders.
I hope so. That'd be awesome if Washington could win a playoff game here, for sure. And then Monday night, our boy Saban isn't here to talk about it, but we'll talk about it. Minnesota at LA. This is a tough matchup for the Vikings. I'll say it because there have been times this year where their pass defense has looked like Swiss cheese, and if that happens, Stafford's going to be able to pick them apart with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, and he's just going to wreak havoc all over the place. This was probably the toughest matchup the Vikings could have had for like what their personnel and what their team is about versus what the Rams are about. The Rams defense is playing much better the second half of the season. McVay's just doing McVay shit where he's just Stafford looks like old Stafford, young Stafford I meant, and it's I'm gonna go Matt Stafford here. I'm gonna pick the Rams. That's not me being a hater, but like it's just Sam Darnold on the road in the playoffs is going to be a problem. Now, this game might not be on the road necessarily because it's another LA team. This is probably going to be moved to Arizona, I saw. But I'll take the Rams on the road.
I'm going to take 24-20 Minnesota Vikings. I think their front seven is going to dominate in this game. I think that'll be the difference. If their front seven can be as good as they have been most this year, it's not going to matter what happens in the secondary because I just think that they're going to shut down the run game and they're going to get pressure on Stafford, who's not as mobile as he once was. And I think that the Vikings are going to go in there and they're going to win a close game. It's going to be pretty close.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'll be a close game as well. Yeah, the Vikings are probably going to win that game if I'm being real with myself. So I'm going to pick the Rams because fuck the Vikings. Okay. So maybe that was just me being a hater is what I kind of determined.
We'll see. We'll find out.
We'll see what happens. Okay, let's talk about some head coach openings here before we move on to some other stuff. A lot of head coach openings. It really, I thought, was just going to be a few. And then all of a sudden the Raiders fired their head coach. The Patriots fired Gerard Mayo. So now we have the Bears, Raiders, Jets, Jags, Saints, Patriots job openings. The two big head coaching candidates this year, Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson. I think we can both agree that Vrabel's going to the Patriots.
I don't know. Not so fast. I was just about to say, this is incredibly interesting to me because I think that Tom Brady might be able to sway him to the Raiders. I think it's between the Raiders and the Pats. And if you were Vrabel, and there has not been a lot of great stories coming out about Kraft in the last 5 years since everything's kind of went down. Nobody really says great things about him. And if Tom Brady's in Las Vegas, maybe you go there. Maybe you get a little bit of a longer leash because that team is really bad. They're going to have to, figure it out. I think the Patriots is more always a win now culture, even though they are not winning right now. I think you might go to the Raiders.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so of these 6 jobs I mentioned, Bears, Raiders, Jets, Jaguars, Saints, Patriots, what if you were a head coach in this cycle, what's the most attractive head coaching job to you?
Man, that's such a tough question. I think it's the Bears. I personally would be looking forward to the Bears. I think they got a lot of talent. I think they are headed in the right direction. I think if Poles can just borrow Chris Ballard's playbook for 1 year and draft all trenches, you guys are going to turn it around pretty quickly. I think that it could be an easier fix, and then all of a sudden you can win 8-9 games next year, which would be a huge step up. You know, even if you miss the playoffs, winning 8-9 games next year in Chicago would be a good deal. That's where I would want to go. Now, I don't know if the top candidates will go there because I think the top candidate's Ben Johnson. I don't think Ben Johnson likes the NFC North. He's programmed to not like the NFC North. And I don't know if you start adding in the ownership factor of all this stuff, it gets a little hairy.
What's wrong with our 102-year-old owner, dude?
Right. So, I don't think it's Ben Johnson for the Bears. I just don't want you guys to get your hopes up Ben Johnson. But if you're asking me if I was a head coach and I was the best candidate and I could pick where I'm going to Chicago.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell myself that the only job that I'm worried about Ben Johnson taking, because that's who I have my eyes set on, is the Patriots job, and that's because of Drake May, right? Like, he has the quarterback in place with the Patriots. You have the high draft pick. You have all that stuff. That's the one that I'm concerned about, because if Vrabel takes the Raiders job, then I think that opens up Ben Johnson to the Pats. And I was really hoping that it was just going to be the Bears and Patriots as like the two jobs with kind of attractive openings, because like the Jets don't do it for me. I don't think the Jets do it for Ben. The Jets didn't even interview Ben Johnson because there was no mutual interest there. The Jags don't do it for me. The Saints don't do it for me. So
I'll defend the Jags job for a minute. Because I think if you're Ben Johnson and if you're offensive guy, I think you can talk yourself into liking Trevor Lawrence. I think you can talk yourself into liking some of their weapons. Thomas is an amazing weapon, man. Seeing him in person last Sunday was awesome. I think I could talk myself into the Jaguars because I think you can win the AFC South any year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
You know?
And then really quick, I just want to talk quickly about the GMs here. The Titans. Let's just talk about the Titans for a second. What a fucking disaster that's turned into in the last 24 months.
And that's what I will say, 100%. I'd rather be in a situation with the Colts where we're continuing some of our continuity, because I do think there is a little bit of a good thing to say about continuity, you know.
Big time.
And the Titans are just doing the absolute opposite of that. No vision going forward. They have young rookies at important spots, and then they overpay all these guys and trade for some of these guys and give them huge contracts.
Who are all like in their late 20s.
Your timelines just
30s,
don't match up, and then you're firing everybody every single year, and there's just a new vision next year and a new quarterback next year and aging vets on huge contracts. The Titans are still going to stink next year. Just keep me away from the Titans in all positions, GM, all that shit.
Yeah, the timeline of events here from the Titans of Vrabel was head coach. I think it was Vrabel and John Robinson were together. Vrabel got John Robinson fired. They brought in this new guy. I think his name is Charlton that just got fired. Something Charlton. He got Mike Vrabel fired, out, hired his guy, and now this year he's out. Now they kept their head coach, which, you know, I'm not putting what happened this year necessarily on Brian Callahan because, you know, he's a first-year head coach, but it's very Bearsy what the Titans are doing right now. And as someone that has lived this for the last 15 years of this kind of stuff, it's not a great time. You probably shouldn't have let your GM spend the most money of any team in the NFL last offseason if you thought there was even like a 10% chance of you firing after this season. Right. You know, it's like that was probably a stupid thing in hindsight. Yeah, the Titans are a mess, but they have the number one pick right now. I tell you what, the Patriots really fucked things up here, huh? Winning that game week 17 in Buffalo. I know we just talked about beating division rivals and blah, blah, blah. Having the number one pick and then you just had to lose to a Mitchell Trubisky-led Bills team and you couldn't do it is a problem.
Yeah, same could be said for the Giants winning the Colts game, you know? Should have let us
winning
have that
the Colts game, yeah, same exact thing. So,
but here's the thing: is the first pick really that valuable this year? Who are you taking? You have to take a quarterback if you're the Titans, right? The smart thing would be probably to trade out of it. Or if you're making me pick and you can't trade out of it, I'm taking Travis Hunter. Screw it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I'm just talking about from the Patriots' perspective.
Right? No, I know.
they would have had a team like the Titans or the Raiders or like one of these teams that are desperate for one of these quarterbacks straight up for it. The Pats were never going to take a quarterback at one. You're 100% right. But they would have gotten a lot more assets if they would have just lost that.
Well, I'm saying even if I'm the Titans, I'm not drafting one of these quarterbacks. I'm not doing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about this. I think me and you are on the same page. I don't think there's a franchise quarterback in this draft, in my opinion. No. Maybe Shedeur. I can maybe sell myself on Shedeur on the right day, but Cam Ward plays the quarterback position way too casually for me to believe that he's going to be an NFL quarterback. I think life's going to come at him fast in the league. That's for sure. Because where was he at before Miami? He was at
not NC State, right?
Cam Ward. Where were you before? He was at.
It was a red school, right?
Yeah, Washington State.
Washington State.
Yeah, the Washington State Cougars. He was there for 2 years. And then he played at Incarnate Word. He played there for 2 years as well. Huh. Go Cardinals. All right, that's news to me. I think me and you are on the same page with these quarterbacks for sure. Is there anything else in the NFL that we need to talk about before we move on?
I don't think so.
Anything you want to get off your chest?
No Colts thoughts. Well, Ballard's pressers tomorrow at 10. He's finally healthy enough to do it.
Oh, shit. What's up with Irsay's little hovercraft that he's rocking right now?
How old do you think Jim Irsay is?
He's 65, but...
Yeah, you know. Yeah. He
looks like he's 95.
Yeah, I know. It's gross. He sounded a little bit better in that locker room speech he gave there about how we're 1-0 in 2025. Good for the Colts. But yeah, it's embarrassing. He's decrepit.
That's what 50 years of pills and drugs and alcohol will do to you. So
yeah, unfortunate. Just treat your body like a party all your life. This is what happens.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the association. One of the more fascinating stories in sports this year is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last I checked, they were on pace to beat the single season wins record or whatever. They're 32-4 as an 89 win percentage. Jake, you said you wanted to talk about the Cavs. What are your thoughts on the Cavs here?
I'll say the Cavs just aren't getting enough real attention. I don't think. I think the Cavs are legitimately good enough to win an NBA title this year. Evan Mobley has ascended. Evan Mobley might be the best player on this team. He is incredibly good. His defensive prowess has always been there, and now he's a 20-10 guy on the offensive side. He's so good. Garland is back to looking like old Garland. He is incredibly good as well. And Mitchell's just been doing the scoring 25 points a game thing for his entire career. So I think this Cavs team is just incredible to watch, and I think that they can actually match up with the Celtics.
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now, and I haven't watched a ton of Cavs basketball this year. I'm going to start getting into I get into the NBA after January or after Christmas, if I'm being real, like really start locking in because of football and stuff. The stuff I've seen of the Cavs, I watched the Cavs Thunder game the other night. That was a very fun game. Both teams are incredible. Mm-hmm. The thing that concerns me about the Cavs is that when we get to the playoffs, is the too big thing going to work in the playoffs?
Right.
With Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Yeah. That's the only thing that it's working right now, but the spacing in the playoffs, especially going against a team like the Celtics or the Knicks that like to do 5 out with their center, I don't know what that necessarily looks like. I don't know what that looks like with Mobley and Allen on the floor together. Now, if you play Mobley at the center 100%. And then have someone else come in at power forward, Georges Niang, someone like that can kind of move around, that makes a lot more sense to me. But I just don't think they're going to let Jared Allen, who is averaging 14 and 10 a night for them with 2 blocks or with a block a game. I don't know if they're going to like take him out of the rotation in the playoffs. They might, they very well could, but that's kind of something I'm looking at here.
It would be Jared Allen getting played off the floor. But the thing is with the Cavs, I really do think that LeVert, Strus, Niang can all step up, and they have been. Okoro is a good defensive piece as well. That team has size in the wing positions that they can still match up, and they don't need the offensive production of whoever they replace Jared Allen with.
For sure.
Because you're going to get that offense from Garland, from Mitchell, and from Mobley.
Yeah, definitely. And the Ty Jerome story this year, this is a guy that's kind of like bounced around the league a little bit. He's gotten some playing time here and there and has looked okay, but he's finally getting some extended run with the Cavs, and the stuff I've seen has been very impressive. I love Ty Jerome at Virginia, so that's I kind of follow him and see what he's been up to. He's been very good for the Cavs this year, so that's been awesome to see.
Sure.
The Cavs are a team that I would not be upset if they won the NBA title, if it's not the Pacers, for sure.
Right.
So I'm with you. I'm a Cavs guy. They're not going to go for the single season wins record. No. I don't think they will. I wish they would. I think that would make this season a lot of fun if they were just like, fuck it, we're gonna just try to win every single game. But I think the last month or two of the season, I think we're going to see them kind of ramp down a little bit and, give some rest. Also, the thing with the Cavs that's interesting is they kind of do a Pacers thing where they have like a 10, 11-man rotation. So that's going to be something that they're going to have to kind of figure out in the playoffs as well, of like what 8 guys are going to actually play.
For sure.
Which will be interesting. And then let's talk about the Pacers. Pacers playing good ball, man.
Yeah, 10 of our last 14, 4-0 in 2025. So we finally came back along. We were 10-15 there when it was looking kind of dark earlier in the season. We've rebounded to 20-18 now. Huge, important stretch for the Pacers right here. We're up to the 6th seed. So.
Yep. And, it's not a coinkydink, but once Tyrese Halliburton started to play like old Tyrese Halliburton, Pacers started winning some basketball games, Yep. So that's been very good to see.
Funny enough, we talked about the center problem earlier in the year with Wiseman and with Jackson going down. And that might have been such a blessing in disguise because Thomas Bryant has been a revelation for this team. His energy, his enthusiasm, he is the leader and soul for this team right now. He's a key piece. And I think that
that's not the piece I was talking about.
Well, I'm even seeing rumblings on Twitter right now of people being like, Bryant, Miles Turner, both free agents at the end of the year. Thomas Bryant could be that slightly cheaper alternative that we go for Miles Turner because the Pacers are in an interesting financial situation at the end of this year.
I don't think that we're going to I want to see more of Thomas Bryant.
For sure.
I think he's played 12 games, I think, for the Pacers so far.
Right.
And he has looked good, especially the most recent game. He got the start for Miles Turner. It was really good in that game.
Very good.
Against the
Bulls, who aren't great.
The Bulls. Yeah. But you play who you play, right?
Right.
But yeah, he played 28 minutes, 22 points, 8 boards. Like that's exactly what you want. With the concerns that we had with the center position, I don't want to say it's a blessing in disguise with Jackson and Wiseman, because I think they probably would have given us maybe similar production to what Thomas Bryant's given us. But I want to give like Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan and those guys like a lot of credit for like recognizing that Thomas Bryant, you could get him for free essentially from Miami. Yep. And he's come in, plug and play guy, went to college at Indiana. Definitely
fans love him.
Definitely a fan favorite. How many Pacer games have you been to this year? Have you been to any?
Yeah, 2.
2? I haven't been to one yet. I need to get to one. So that's been awesome to see, for sure. We still need to do some consolidating. I love Obi Toppin. I would like to see Obi Toppin traded for a different piece. I love Aaron Nesmith. I think that Nesmith could be a trade chip. Same thing with TJ McConnell. I don't think you got to trade all 3. I think you maybe trade 1 or 2, and you start to consolidate. You start to open up cap for some future years where this team is very cap strapped. And I love all 3 of those guys I just mentioned. They're high effort, high energy players. But the thing is, we have duplicates that are cheaper and can play right now. In Obi Toppin's case, Jarris Walker's playing great. He's having a good year. And he's been awesome.
TJ McConnell's case, we have Andrew Nimhard that does a lot of the same thing and is more able on the offensive end as well. And then Neesmith's case, we have Matherin, who's really starting to learn how to play winning basketball, make the right pass, rebound, and make that effort. He's averaging 6 boards a game. He's averaging like
the
16
rebounding
6.
for him has been awesome. Like
So
he
good.
just flies at the rim on some of these, which is kind of scary because I see that ending poorly one of these times when he's just recklessly flying at the rim to get rebounds. But it's been
we saw last year
so far.
His last year ended early because he got a shoulder injury from he's just a high effort guy, high motor guy who's always going. So I'm a Matherin guy. I personally like to see Matherin stay here in Indy, and we're gonna have to open up cap space and do it.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he sticks around as well. Yeah, I think the Aaron Nesmith piece of this, unfortunately, I love Aaron Nesmith.
Love him.
But I think he's going to be the guy that goes because he's missed a lot of the season, and we've kind of seen the success we've had with the guys we have without him. I think that could be a very easy, like, we kind of move him out and then move someone else in to help our rotation. But maybe Nesmith, when he comes back from his injury, is just kind of maybe what we need. I don't know.
We'll me personally,
happens.
I like to hang on to Nesmith, and I'd like to ship Toppin. Toppin, I think, is my number one. I love Toppin, but I think Jarris Walker can be 80% of Toppin this year, and then you hope he surpasses Toppin in future years.
Big time, yeah. And then you use the 7th pick in the draft on him, so it's like you want to play that guy.
Yes.
All right, that was good Pacer stuff. Yeah, I'm excited. The Pacers might be on the verge of doing something right as far as fans' ability to watch basketball, because they are going to have 6 games on WTHR this year for free, which is awesome. I am really hoping that this is the first step of
getting out of the subscription model. It's been awful. Yeah. It's been bad for fans.
Horrible.
And don't give me you can make more money as the team by doing this, because you can't, because now you're losing your visibility. You're losing fans. Fans aren't seeing the games. They don't want to go to games because they don't know what's happening with these Pacers. And this is a fun team. We're young, and we might not be a title contender this year, but there are chances that we're going to have to make high-level playoff runs into the future, and you got to get that groundwork now. And I hope they move off this model that they've had now for years, and it just hasn't worked, and it's unreliable. So
I'm fingers crossed on we get more free game. I think the first game is tomorrow, right?
Soonish,
I think the 10th against the Warriors. I think is the first game on WTA.
And they're showing fun games. Golden State Warriors, man, cheapest ticket to get in is $70. That's the perfect game to show on TV.
Yeah. So good job, Pacers. Good job, whoever's making those decisions. I hope all sports are doing this, because baseball could learn from this. Baseball and basketball are
100%.
Those two kind of have that issue right now, because the NFL just makes it so. Well, the NFL is kind of getting there with all these extra streaming services and stuff.
Netflix, Amazon.
Yeah, for sure. But they're not in the position the Pacers are, because the problem with the Pacers, for me personally, I don't pay for FanDuel TV, FanDuel Sports Network, whatever it's called. I watch all my Pacer games on the low. Okay, that's what I'll say about that. If LeBron can use Stream East, I can use Stream East. Okay, I watch all my Pacer games on Stream East just because I paid for FanDuel Sports Network, but every time I tried to watch a Pacers game, it would buffer.
Unreliable.
And it's just unwatchable. And it's just like, why am I paying $20, $30 a month for something that is a shitty product to watch on TV when I can just get the same quality for free on my laptop?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something that the NBA needs to figure out, because I would say me and you are about as big the biggest basketball fans we know, and the fact that I'm not even paying to watch the Pacers should kind of tell you where we're at right now. You know?
In baseball, don't even get me started on them. Just my only quick thought is they act like everybody lives 10 miles from the stadium.
Oh, dude, yeah.
My team that I root for is 4 hours away, dude.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, if you live in Indiana, you're fucked, because you can't watch the Cubs. You can't you get the Reds, which is great.
Oh, you do get the Reds, yeah.
You get the Reds if you pay for the subscription. If you pay for FanDuel Sports TV or Sports Network, so that is true. Okay, what else? What else do we have to talk about?
We gotta talk FS1 real quick.
Let's talk Fox Sports. Uh, there was a lawsuit filed against some members of Fox Sports, Joy Taylor, Skip Bayless in particular.
Wait, quick timeout. Joy Taylor's Jason Taylor's younger sister?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah. I used to watch The Herd, like Colin Cowherd's show, and she was on that a lot. And so that's how I learned that. But a lot of allegations in this situation where the first one is there's a hairdresser that worked for Fox Sports 1 that said that Skip Bayless offered her $1.5 million to sleep with her. And then when she went to Joy Taylor to kind of rat on Skip Bayless, she was like, you should probably do that, essentially. Right. That's what the allegations are.
Right. All allegations.
And then all allegations. And then hers are sleeping with an exec at Fox Sports 1 and then sleeping with her co-host, Emmanuel Acho, on Fox Sports, on their Speak Now show or whatever it's called. I'm going to start by saying this. I weirdly feel bad for Joy Taylor, and I'll say this, and I'll tell you why. Because no matter what actually comes of this lawsuit, in the court of public opinion, Joy Taylor did this stuff, right? No matter what, this could come out and be like, this hairdresser was full of shit trying to get all this money from Fox Sports and whatever. And it could all be disproved, right? But in the court of public opinion,
right, yeah,
people are going to be like, you still did that. And if she did do it, then that's also, actually, no, if she did do it, who cares? Let her fucking sleep her way to the top. I don't care. Like, do what you need to do, girl. There's no judgment here. Let me tell you. But if it comes out as not true, and I know I've talked about this stuff in the past with like the allegations of it all, the story when it first breaks with allegations gets covered a lot more than here's actually what happened a year later after the lawsuits are done and everything.
Well, because what happens is this is going to get settled out of court and we'll never know what actually happened.
That's true. That's a good point as well.
So, but you're right. The court of public opinion will last forever. And I don't know, obviously all very bad. I just love how certain networks get, like, you can't go there because they have a bad reputation for being this and this and this. And you don't ever really hear anything bad coming out of those anymore. And then you got these super reputable, big time companies. And that's where all kinds of things are just running amok. Sure. So, I mean, it is just that.
Well, you hear
is interesting.
It is very interesting because I know you're talking about Barstool and like all this stuff with like kind of the bad press that Barstool has gotten. But like we see this stuff with Fox Sports 1. We saw the stuff with ESPN with John Skipper and like all those guys. Like those are bad companies too. And it is funny that certain companies kind of get the bad rap when you don't hear about any of this stuff happening at those places. But yeah, it was a very interesting story. The thing that I found funniest about it is the day the allegation got released or the lawsuit got released or whatever, they still went on the network and were doing their show. I thought that was hilarious.
Dude, I don't know how honestly, props to them. I don't know how you power through that.
Cancel the show.
Crazy. Yeah. Dude. Yeah. I'm sick. You got to get whoever else is at that network to host one show. Use a sick day. Surely they got sick days, right?
Yeah.
I don't care how bad it makes me look. I'm sitting out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, we're not doing this. We're not doing it.
And they all were just like super weird at the beginning. Like Keyshawn Johnson's like hitting like a home run, like in the intro. Yeah. Michael Irvin's doing weird stuff.
And they were all standing like 80 feet away from each other. It looked like no one wanted to be like in the same camera shot as each other. It was very funny. Did you see Jason Whitlock's comments about it?
Dude, don't get me started on Whitlock. Whitlock, I used to like
Ball
Whitlock.
State's finest, dude.
I know, and he's a Ball State guy, and I liked Whitlock. Like, Whitlock would actually tell how it was and was, like, actually a respected journalist. I don't know. He's got to be doing this for clicks, right? I'm just trying to get... And it's working, I guess, but not in the way I would do it.
Him talking about Joy Taylor and saying that he never did a show with her because he knew what he was capable of made him sound like such a fucking predator. It is unbelievable.
And
I cannot believe he said that.
Ever said that is lying.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Also, Jason Whitlock, have you looked at yourself in the mirror in a while, pal?
Yeah.
I don't think
Big old
anyone is
dude.
trying to
Yeah.
see what you're capable of, okay? I don't think anyone's trying to see that.
Just gross. Gross comments.
Just
Weird comments.
gross.
Just weirdo.
Weird guy. Weird guy. Is he from Indiana or did he just do Ball State?
I think he just went to Ball State. I mean, Ball State does have a very good telecommunications school.
Yeah.
So.
David Letterman. Shout out.
Mm-hmm. Shout out.
All right. I think that about does it. We're going to wrap up here. A couple announcements, or I guess one announcement, I guess, at the end of the show. Jake and I, starting, we haven't put an exact date on it. The Bachelor starts January 27th. We are going to have a secondary spin-off show that we're just going to talk about the reality television we want to talk about. That's going to include The Bachelor. We're going to talk about Big Brother when it comes around. We're going to get in depth on Summer House. We're going to talk about Summer House with Saban on the regular feed because he's going to want to talk about it. And maybe he'll hop on and we'll talk about Summer House here. But I want to get guests for this show because we have friends that love watching reality television. So yeah, we are going to have a secondary spin-off show. Name to be announced. We have a couple names. Jake came up with a couple names that I really like. We need to talk about that. But if you have any names, if you're watching, and if there's if you have a creative name, let me know. Let us know, and maybe we'll use that. But that is going to be very fun. We have this capability of video. Hopefully, this gets put on uploaded on YouTube correctly. If you're seeing this, we're definitely going to be doing it. We're going to be able to do like instant reactions after episodes and all sorts of stuff. So big things coming in 2025.
Yeah, we're getting the second unit network going.
Yeah, we're just going to start a fucking network, dude. But yeah, so I'm very excited about that. That's going to be a ton of fun. But yeah, be on the lookout for all of that. We will we'll put on social media more details about that as that happens. But for sure, January 27th, we're going to have, or maybe the 28th or something, we'll have an episode for you after the premiere of The Bachelor of that, for sure. Also, if there's any reality television shows that you watch that you want us to watch and talk about, leave a comment in the old YouTube comments here, because that would help a lot. Also, if you're watching this, please like the YouTube video. It helps the algorithm a lot. Like, comment. Commenting is very cool and very nice, and we will respond to all comments if you comment. And subscribe to us on YouTube, more importantly, because we'd like to build the YouTube, get this going. We have some short form video things in the works that we're gonna be doing. It's gonna be a lot of fun in 2025.
Yep.
But yeah, Jake, do you have anything you want to say before we go?
No, super excited, man. And this reality thing, we can do it all year, like you said, with Bachelor, Summer House, Big Brother. I love talking about those. I'm super excited to have an avenue to talk about those. Yep. And I hope it's an alternative for people who don't necessarily care about the sports stuff we talk about.
Exactly.
All the time.
So that's what we were thinking. We'll do sports all in one, and then reality television, hardcore reality television in another. So that about does it for this episode. I really appreciate everyone watching all 122 minutes of this. If you're still watching, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. We will be back next week. Yeah, we'll see you then. Deuces.